Hey nerds, I'm gonna hit you with a review of Noragami, which is an anime. That premiered in 2015 and a manga that started in 2010. I just finished the first season today. I watched it mostly yesterday, and I'm very, very enthralled in it, and I want to personally read the manga going forward, and maybe catch up on the OVA and whatnot. Just some background. It's a supernatural comedy anime with some very intense horror aspects because it's about the afterlife. I do think it takes an absurdist approach to its comedy, which makes the hills and valleys of the seriousness and the comedy like very peaked. Something I would compare its tonal shifts to is something like Angel Beats, if you've ever heard of that. And I would definitely compare it to Bleach and how it presents the world building of kind of the ecosystem of the afterlife. Beyond that, it has a very small cast. The first season only has 12 episodes, so it's very easy to just watch all in one go, which I recommend. Although I do think that it shines the most in about its first 5 to 6 episodes. I would say episode 5 would be my favorite. That's because that's where it really hones in on the horror aspects and really, really brought tears to my eyes, really. It's been a while since I watched an anime so quickly. If you've been paying attention, I've been mostly doing reviews of stuff on Netflix, mostly live action stuff, almost exclusively. We do have some anime reviews on here, but very, very few, and I definitely want to remedy that, especially since we do so much AEX coverage, and I don't want it to feel any more like we only care about anime in July. That being said, I highly recommend the anime, but you do have to stick with it in terms of the comedy, because the comedy can be kind of out there, but I would say that, and by out there, I don't mean like it's the stupidest humor ever, although it does fall into a lot of the common comedy tropes anime does. And relating to that, I will also state that it does have a little bit of fan service, but very, very little. I actually counted it as about 4 panty shots in the 12 episodes that I saw, and altogether they have panty shots in 3 episodes. So it definitely hits a lot of the common anime tropes. So I know a lot of people who are really into anime can get pretty tired of the typical like haremish tropes and kind of perverted main character kind of things. I definitely would compare, and I hate to constantly compare this anime to other animes, but like I was having flashbacks to animes watching this in a good way. In terms of the main character, pretty similar to the main character of Trigun, Vash Stampede, a person with a very, very heinous backstory who definitely tries to stay on the sunny side of the street in terms of dealing with people and just expressing themselves in general, is trying to kind of essentially behind their dark past. Although in the 12 episodes, the center of the series, the center of the drama is only a runoff of the main character. It's really the supporting cast is rather strong, and like I did say, the cast is kind of small. The 12 episodes is a really nice introduction to the world, but I'm sure there's a lot more world building and concepts that they want to establish. Right now, the manga series has 18 volumes, and I mentioned before it started in 2010, so it's been going on for what, 7 years? Oh, it's been going on for about as long as Walking Dead. Wow. That's pretty interesting. Oh, right, the supporting cast that's very good. There's a young boy and a high school girl whose plot lines and influence in the story is very strong, and it's because of these two characters and the relationships that they foster with other characters that stray this anime away from being such in the shonen genre. I do think it technically counts for sure, but the focus on like getting stronger and getting like a more powerful weapon or more powerful techniques isn't really there. It does have elements of that, but it's a lot about self-reflection, the question of what is self. It definitely explores the themes of the afterlife in a very dark, again, I was saying horror-driven way. I watched it almost exclusively at night, so that probably helped the atmosphere for me. But it does have a lot to do with death and regret and just like human suffering. It also has a lot to do with deifying things and people, because kind of as far as the anime is concerned, at least as far as I saw, it's a lot about godhood. And there are characters that are gods, and they have, followers and things like that. And the series has its own rules for like how they function, how they interact with like spirits and ghosts and things like that. But it definitely has a very Avatar approach to like the naturalism of a world and like spirits being everywhere and having to do with everything, not just human spirits and not just animal spirits, but like nature spirits, and just kind of like I mentioned like a spiritual ecosystem before. Think of like the spirit world in Avatar: Last Airbender. Very reminiscent of that. As much as I compared it to a lot of different other anime, I definitely want to mention that like the creativity that it took to put this together and the heart that I can see when I watch and experience it is rather strong, and it definitely has a lot of originality. So I don't think that the comparisons to any other anime that hits on the same tropes or themes really take away from Noragami as a whole. I think I mentioned everything I really want to mention, though I don't know if there is a dub. If you're a dub kind of person, I watched it completely subbed. However, I would recommend watching it subbed because paying attention to like the language of Japanese, and like I am by no means fluent in Japanese at all. But when you watch anime, typically you notice certain words and phrases used again and again, especially because Japanese as a language is kind of relative, and like the meaning of things are different depending on the situation, obviously. The title, which I haven't actually Googled what the direct translation of it is, however, Ami, meaning God, I'm pretty sure, if I'm relating to something like Death Note, gods of death, Sharingan, Bleach, it's common knowledge amongst otaku, right? It wasn't until like towards the end that I really started to think about the title and the implications of said title, and going forward, hopefully I have a eureka moment. Like, oh, that's why they call it that. But I already have kind of a clue, and I have been pretty vague throughout this video because I want you to watch it, and I think that kind of telling you my theories right now would do you a disservice. Although like a lot of other videos I promise you nerds, I definitely intend to do kind of an analysis video, especially because I'm one of those type of people who loves to watch the intros and endings almost every time. Like I don't usually skip them. The lyrics connect to the imagery and themes within the series itself, so you'll be watching it, and then they'll reference something, a line from the intro or the ending in terms of lyrics, and it really makes it come full circle in a way. It's kind of one of those times where I feel like an intro is used to a show's benefit instead of just showing off. It definitely hints at things and the progression of the series in a way that doesn't feel cheap, at least not to me. And I should probably do a breakdown of the intro too, just like visually, and what it means to the themes of the show. I really enjoy watching it. I'm glad that I didn't spread it out over time, although I don't think it would be bad spread out over time. It's just, as a 12 episode series, I'm very inclined to just finish it all at once. Thanks for the time, nerds. I hope you guys had a great weekend.